All right, here's part 2. We're going to start on page 606 with example 3 down at the bottom. So our first one says 16 to the negative 3/4. So 16 to the negative 3/4. So let's think about what we know about negative exponents, okay? When we have a negative exponent, it means that it goes over 1, correct? So we're going to have 1 over 16 to the 3/4. All right, now what do we know about exponents written this way? We know we look at this bottom number and take it to that root. So we're going to have 16 to the 4th root. And all of this then is taken to the 3rd power. All right, so let's simplify it some more. Okay, so we have 1 over, what is the 4th root of 16? Well, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So that would be 2 to the 3rd. Haven't done anything with this 3rd yet. So we have 1 over, what is 2 to the 3rd? 8. So in that example, 16 to the negative 3/4 is 1 over 8. All right, let's look at B. B says negative 27 in parentheses, like so, to the negative 2/3. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here, we're going to get rid of this negative exponent. So we're going to say 1 over negative 27 to the 2/3. Now let's take it a step further. Look at your bottom denominator here of your exponent, and it's 3. So we're going to take negative 27 to the cube root, and it is squared. Keep going. What's the cube root of negative 27? It's negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9, times negative 3 is negative 27. So negative 3, 1 over negative 3 squared. What is negative 3 squared? That is just positive 9. So your answer there would be 1 over 9. Okay, go ahead and press pause, please, and try practice 3A and B. Okay, let's look at practice 3A. We have 9 to the negative 3/2. All right, this is A, 9 to the negative 3/2. All right, first let's get rid of our negative exponent. So we have 1 over 9 to the 3/2. Now look at your denominator. We have 1 over the square root of 9 to the 3rd. What is the square root of 9? That's 3. So we have 1 over 3 to the 3rd, which is, what is 3 to the 3rd? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So 1 over 27 for your final answer there. All right, B says negative 64, all in parentheses, to the negative 2/3. Okay, first thing, get rid of your negative exponent. So we're going to have 1 over negative 64 to the 2/3. Now, look at your denominator here. So you're going to have 1 over the cube root of negative 64 squared. Okay, so what is the cube root of negative 64? We're going to have 4 times 4 is 16 times 4, okay? And it is an odd number here, so we can use the negative sign. So it is negative 4 is our cube root there. So we have negative 4 squared, which is positive 16. Okay, great. Let's move on. All right. Okay. Example 4, down at the bottom of page 607. We're going to multiply exponents. All right, so we have b to the 1/3, this is the first one, b to the 1/3 times b to the 5/3. Okay, so what do you typically do when you multiply exponents? They have the same denominator, we just add them together, okay? So this would be b to the 1 plus 5, right, over 3, which would be b to the 6/3, which is just b squared, correct? Okay, let's look at the next one. All right, the next one is x to the 1/2 times x to the 1/3. Okay, let's rewrite it. X. Well, before we rewrite it, look, they do not have common denominators here, do they? So we need to change it so that they do. So we have x to the 1/2 plus 1/3 here. No common denominators. Let's change that. So we have x to the 3/6 plus 2/6, correct? That is a 6, although it doesn't look like one. All right, keep going. So now we have x to 5/6. Whoops, that's a 6. We can just add them together now. 3 plus 2 is 5. Good, okay, let's keep going. Look at C. All right, C is, we're going to divide. 7 to the 1/3 over 7 to the 4/3. Well, darn it. Getting ahead of myself. 7 to the 4/3. Okay, so you can rewrite this. Look, same denominators. So we can say 7 to the, we can just combine them here because it's the same. So it's going to be our 1/3 minus 4/3, right? So now we're just combining them. Okay, so what is 1 minus 4? Let's put this in parentheses. So we have 7 to the 1 minus 4, which is -3 over 3. Now we have a negative exponent, okay? What is -3 over 3? So we have 7 to the -1, right? And that can be rewritten as 1 over 7, or 1 over 7 to the first. You don't even need the power here, the exponent here. It's just 1 over 7. Okay, so let's look at D. For D, we have y to the -4/7 times y to the 6/7. Y to the 6/7. Okay, so we have the same denominators, so let's just combine them here. So we're left with -4 plus -6, which is positive 2/7. And that's really as far as you can go with that one. We don't have any other information. I don't have any more room, so let me erase this. Okay. All right. So the last one is, oh, this is a big long one. Okay, so we have 2x to the 2/5. 2x to the 2/5 times y to the -1/3 y to the negative 1/3, all taken to the 5th. And it is all over x squared y. X squared y. Make sure I wrote it right. Okay. Wow. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to distribute this exponent here. All right, so the 2 is not attached to anything. So what is 2 to the 5th? Actually, let's just rewrite it before we start trying to multiply stuff out. Okay, so 2 to the 5th. Now we have x to the 2/5 taken to the, let's put all that in here. X to the 2/5 taken to the 5th. Now we have y to the negative 1/3 taken to the 5th. Okay, so we're just rewriting, and it's still all over x squared y. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to multiply everything out. So 2 to the 5th is going to give us 32. How about x to the 2/5 taken to the 5th? All right, so if we have an exponent, let's go over here. If we have an exponent taken to another power, we multiply, right? When we're multiplying across, we add, and when we're taking an exponent to an exponent, we multiply. So 2 times 5 is going to be 10, right? So we're going to end up with x to the 10 over 5, correct? How about here? We're going to end up with, we're multiplying negative 1 times 5. We're going to end up with y to the negative 5 over 3, and it's still all going to be over x squared y. All right, now let's simplify some. We have 32. X to the 10 over 5 is just x squared, correct? And then we have y to the negative 5 over 3, still over x squared y. I may be doing a couple of extra steps here than shown in the book, but it's because I want you to see all the steps, even the ones that they kind of combine together. Okay, so let's see what else we can do here. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to simplify, and we want everything to be, we're going to bring this up to the top, okay? So that we can combine everything. So we're going to say 32, we have an x squared minus here. So if we bring this up to the top, it's going to be an x to the negative 2, right? If we were to add it up here. So we're going to have 32. Now we have x to the 2, and now this x right here is a negative 2. So minus 2. Then we're going to have y. If we move this y up to the top, it's going to be a negative 1. So we're going to have a negative 5/3 y. Okay, that's just this. Now we want to bring this y up to the top. So it would be y to the negative 1. But y to the negative 1 is not in the same, does not have the same denominator. We need it to be a 3. So another way to write negative 1 would just be negative 3 over 3, right? Okay, so now we can combine them a little bit more. So we're going to have 32, whoops, I'll erase that. 32, x, what's 2 minus 2? 0. And how about y to the negative 5 minus 3? We're going to have negative 8. Negative 8 over 3. Okay. Well, x to the 0 is Nothing, right? So that's going to go away. So now we're going to have 32y to the negative 8 over 3. Okay, well, we can still do more. Okay, so we have a negative exponent here. So we're going to bring this to the bottom. So we're going to have 32y on the bottom to the 8/3. And that's about as far as you can go with that one. Okay, so I want you to press pause, and I want you to try practice 4, A, B, C, D, and E. And these solutions are actually going to turn up on part 3 video.